Hi everybody, hope you're well. Today I wanted to talk about something that is near and dear to me. I wanted to talk about my hometown of London. Now, I don't live in London anymore, but when I do go back to London from time to time, I feel great. I feel revitalized, I feel good, and basically I love London. But I want to talk about the pros and the cons of London. There are positives and there are negatives, and I'm going to start with the positives. So, in London, there's a lot of activity, a lot going on, lots of things to do, a lot of different people. There's a buzz to the place, especially when you go to central London or one of the areas that has more things to do. Um, so I really like that. Also, uh, there's a lot of convenience. So if you live there, it's highly convenient for food, shopping, networking, all of that. It's got all of that in abundance. So, for example, if you wanted to order some food on a food delivery app, so you can get like takeaway, like Deliveroo, Just Eat, whatever. You can actually order food from all over the world. Like you literally have a long list of food: Vietnamese, Thai food, uh, Nando's, which is like a kind of Portuguese African fusion of food, but it's really popular in the UK. Really popular. Um, and yeah, any restaurant, any Italian food, Chinese food, you name it, right? I've only scratched the surface of the food that you can get on these apps in London. It's just so convenient. It's good for shopping. So if you're into clothes, gadgets, whatever, there's endless shops that you can go to. So it's great for shopping. It's very multicultural. Literally in London, there's um, every country in the world is represented in London, and I mean every country. And yeah, I love that about London. So if wherever you're from in the world, there would be a sizable amount of people from that same country. In fact, years ago, when they had the 2012 Olympics, it was said that London is what would be one of the only places where you would have a home crowd of every single country with a sizable population or fan base based in London, not traveling into London, based in London to support every single country in the world. And it's one of the few places in the world that has that. So yeah, it's extremely multicultural, which means you'll fit in. You're likely to fit in. No one bats an eyelid where you're from, how you dress. No one cares. Do you know what I mean? People just mind their own business. You don't get any funny looks or any funny behavior from anyone because, you know, why? People from all over the world, nobody cares. And yeah, you can easily fit in London, wherever you're from in the world, wherever your religious beliefs, your style, fashion sense, whatever country you're from, whatever language you speak, people don't care. They're just minding their own business. And yeah, that's something that I really think is actually a big selling point for London. Um, and again, as I mentioned, networking a bit. I touched on that a bit earlier. But yeah, there's people who do all different types of professions in London. It's you can meet people who are in the tourism industry, tech, um, you know, restaurant business. You'd meet people who work in all different types of industries in London. So it's great for networking as well. So the cons of London. So there are a few. The biggest one you're probably aware of already is that London is extremely extremely expensive. It is extremely expensive to live in. It's oppressively expensive, right? If you want to live in London comfortably, you have to be earning loads of money. Like I'm talking about, you got to be really doing really, really well and then some, right? Because it's got people from all over the world. You also get people from who have different economic brackets as well. So you've got super rich people there. You've got people who, like, you know, they've just got loads of money across the board, from here, from abroad, everywhere, all congregated into one place. There's a because London's so popular in the UK and around the world. There's a lot of competition for housing, and basically not enough houses have been built, or are being built. And then when they do get built, they are extremely expensive to rent for locals who are from London. If you wanted to rent a place in London, or even if you're from abroad, you wanted to rent in London, it's crazy. You know, if you're watching this video, you know how crazy rents, mortgages, whatever, are in London, right? That's a massive down point for London. The expense of living there actually ruins everything almost, because what's the point? You know what I mean? It becomes a place that you just visit. You know what I mean? It stops being somewhere where you can actually live, and that's a really important thing. So yeah, it's extremely expensive for accommodation and transport. For transport, some of the most expensive transport costs on the underground, the buses, everything, extremely expensive. If you live in London, two of your biggest expenses, unless you have like a really nice car or something, two of your biggest expenses will probably be your accommodation and your transport, and I mean public transport. It's that expensive, very, very high cost for that. I'd mentioned again the people aspect, but there is another level to that as well, which is that because people are doing their own thing, lots of people, nobody cares about each other. So literally you can live in London and not know the names of your neighbours, you know, the people above you, below you, front, left, right, or left, right, yeah, right, left, whatever, right? You could live there and just barely speak to anybody, like in your local vicinity. It's not like other places where you know people's names and you can say good morning to each other, and you know, you walk past someone in the morning that you don't know and they say good morning to you and stuff like that. That human connection. And because it's the population of London has a certain level of transiency to it, so someone would move to London for a year and then move out, or you know, it has that kind of doesn't have a the population is in London is big as well, so people aren't really invested in one another, because you might not see that person again. If you live in a small town, you'll probably see that person again and again and again. So it's in your interest to mutually, it's mutually beneficial to be kind, you know, not to actually acknowledge people and be nice to people and things like that, because again, you know, you want to foster good relationships with people that you see over and over again. I think it should be like that in general, but in London, yeah, that human connection is I think is something that's missing in London as well. So there is another thing, which is there's a crime element in London, right? So again, London is extremely diverse in many ways, right? One of which is economically. So you've got people who don't have much at all, right? Had very difficult upbringings across the board, right? In terms of financially, all sorts of stuff, right? And those people, that person, those people may not have much, you know, and then you have someone else on the other end of the spectrum who had a great upbringing, and on top of that, wealthy, rich, wealthy, and you've got these two entities living quite close to each other, right? So there's a crime element, and there's something you have to be aware of in London. It's not like you're in Japan or somewhere like that where the crime is very low. Where, you know, I've seen some stuff in Japan that just made my head spin. I was like, wait, you left your wallet on the table in a busy place? Like, you know, I could go on and on, but yeah, it's not that. In London, you have to have your wits about you if you are carrying stuff that is very flashy or expensive. You should have your wits about you to an extent. Well, 100% you should have your wits about you, because it definitely is our haves and have nots in London for sure. So there's a crime element there. That's a downside. But you get that everywhere, but in London it's a bit more exaggerated because of being a big city with a high population density and varied economic levels in the same place. And yeah, I'll touch on the expense side of London. A lot of people have moved out of London over the years, in particular since sort of the 2020 to 2021, 22 period. I think I read that 1 million people left London. And, you know, I think a lot of people have been priced out of London as well. It's an extremely expensive place, and I think that I've been reading about rents going up, well, not exponentially, but going up by a significant amount year on year, on top of rents and mortgages that were already quite expensive. And I do wonder about the future of London, because London is great. It's great. I love it. I love London. But I know for a fact there's probably millions of people like me or a lot of people like me who love London, but it's a bit of a bittersweet thing. You love London, but you sort of almost hate it for some aspects. Like, the thing I hate about London is the expense of it. Hate might be a strong word, but it's the expense of the place, the fact that people don't really interact with each other very much. If I could click my fingers and change a few things about London, it would be to have much more housing, rent controls, cheap housing, or cheaper housing, cheaper transport costs, and just be a place that everyone can live in, not just people that are extremely wealthy, not a place where houses are purchased before they're built. You know, these are sort of things that happen in London. I think that's quite unfair, to be honest, because it's a great place. It's a great place. Everyone that lives there contributes something to it, to the city, and it just gives it this buzz. And it's just, I love London, man. I love it, but it's a place that you need to detach from. You know, you got to do a like kind of nice sort of detachment from the place, because if you don't, it's just gonna it'll just be a cycle of you paying. I don't want to get into it, but you can't. London is one of those places where you give it 10 years and then you get out. I think potentially, I've seen a lot of people do that. But anyway, London's a great city. It's a great place to go on holiday. It's a very, again, like I said many times, extremely expensive. And you will have a good time. There's loads of restaurants, loads of different types of people, loads of things to do. Lots of really nice architecture, etc. So yeah, visit London. You know, if you want to live there, go and live there, but your rent is going to be crazy. Yeah. Um, and yeah, just enjoy yourself, man. Go and live in the with the nice bright lights of London, man. But you will pay for it. Anyway, have a good day.